What happens to human beings when the world changes faster than they can emotionally process it? AI is reshaping work overnight. Geopolitical instability is disrupting industries, economies, and careers across borders. Organizations are in constant transformation, and somewhere beneath the language of innovation and growth, people are quietly experiencing exhaustion, uncertainty, and change fatigue. In this episode of The People Blueprint, Vikrant Bhatnagar, who has spent decades working across industries like telecom, IT, and aviation, helps us make sense of what relentless change is really doing to people, organizations, and the future of learning. This is not a conversation about trends, tools, or corporate jargon. It is a conversation about perspective, resilience, human adaptability, and what it will truly take to remain relevant, grounded, and deeply human in an age of constant disruption. Welcome to the People Blueprint, where we explore the future of work through the lens of leadership, people strategy, and the human choices that quietly shape institutions over time. I'm your host, Sheila Vasan Singla. My guest today is someone who has spent decades plowing through transformation, people, and business evolution. Vikrant Bhatnagar has worked across industries that have not merely experienced change, but have very often sat at the epicenter of it. In a world obsessed with skills, systems, speed, Vikrant brings the conversation back to something more fundamental: perspective, context, meaning, and the inner ability to navigate uncertainty. Vikrant, it's such a pleasure to have you on the People Blueprint. Thank you for making time for us.
Thank you, Sheila, for having me over.
Vikrant, you spent a lot of your career in industries that have really gone through very strong periods of transformation, and you've been at the center of it all. Now, whenever we speak about transformation, people talk about strategy, structure, systems, processes, technology, but very rarely do people really engage with the human side of it. Very rarely do people look at what's happening to the human beings who are in the midst of this huge deluge of change. In your opinion, what really happens to people who go through a transformation in an organization?
Very good question, Sheila. If you see, while as professionals we constantly talk of transformation in the context of organizations, systems, processes, business results, outcomes, etc. But come to think of it, transformation is a very human process which all living beings go through.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And so as we grow, we are transforming. And many a time, we look forward to those transformations as when we were children, and we would look upon adults being able to do a lot many things which we were not able to. We wanted to grow to their age. That was also a positive, willing transformation that we were wanting. Transformation per se, according to me, is impact neutral. By itself doesn't carry any meaning.
Okay.
We assign meaning to it as individuals who are going through a transformation. If we refuse to assign a meaning, then transformation would cease to have any impact. But that's easier said than done.
It is. I mean, how can you not assign meaning to it, right?
Right. And that then brings us to a positive transformation or a negative transformation, or what we feel that some transformations impacted us positively or negatively. But even positive transformations, we go through our own journey, right?
For example?
For example, if you see somebody was looking for a dream job and they get that, they land that dream job.
Okay.
But that requires them to move to another town. Now, that's a change that they have to go through. They'll have to transform themselves. So even though they are getting what they are wanting, but there is a change, and that can also create its own share of anxieties. So there are many of these transformations which are we consider as positive, and generally if transformations are gradual, or if they are conscious, they sit better with us as people. However, if there is a sudden transformation and we are caught by surprise, that's where the challenges happen. And because of these challenges, people trying to associate a negative quality factor to it, right? But having said this, whatever the kind of transformation is, I feel that all people go through what I call as 5 A's, or 5 stages
Okay.
of A's, starting with anxiety,
Okay.
right? And then anticipation,
Okay.
and then somewhere followed by acceptance. And after acceptance comes adaptability.
Yes.
But,
yes.
but after that comes what I consider is the best, is agency,
Interesting.
right? So these are the 5 A's, and agency is what makes the whole difference. It is that factor with which human beings have a remarkable association.
It's so amazing what you're talking about, because very often when we look at transformation, we don't go all the way to agency. We don't even think that at some point, at the end of this transformation, we will have that agency. Where we stop is anxiety. And I think as organizations also, we don't communicate this 5-stage journey where, yes, there is going to be anxiety, but this is what you can look forward to. And this is how you can accept it, because this is for the larger good. And therefore, this is how you can adapt to it. And this is the outcome where you will truly have agency at the end of it.
I would look at it this way. So there are so many change management models which are prevalent, and many organizations do use them or do show it to people. I think what happens over there is largely these are being shown in a more cerebral way. And even change management professionals or L&D professionals or HR professionals, they would also have a very cognitive view of this. And you made a very important point that we generally stop at anxiety. And that is where I feel things start going wrong, because this anxiety or people's association with change starts being looked upon as a challenge, as a problem to be solved, rather than an
stage.
energy
Yeah.
to be gained from. Because in these 5 stages, the employees are going through a cognitive and emotional process.
And do we as organizations underestimate that emotional aspect of change? Like you said, we focus so much on the cognitive aspect. Do we even take into account that there will be an emotional aspect to this entire transformation process?
I would not paint all organizations with the same brush. Different organizations may be different at their stages of maturity, evolution, and their comfort with change or their experience with change. Having said that, I think change is being looked upon still from business matrices.
Absolutely.
So what is considered as change success or successful change
Transformation,
management or transformation is from that how early were we able to bounce back as a business, or people going through the change, if they had X ratings earlier, did the ratings drop or did they maintain or did they go up? How much time did it take for productivity to come back to its original shape and form? Was there any voluntary attrition during this period, and what kind of talent left us, etc., etc. So there are a lot of business matrices and very well-intentioned and very important matrices. But what these matrices do not measure is the vast amount of cognitive and emotional bandwidth that people are using in order to navigate that change and trying to make a sense of it and trying to make their place in it. I think the gap between what is getting measured versus that emotional cognitive cost which should be measured, that's a blind spot and an area of opportunity today. I don't know
If it
how
can
many
be-
organizations are measuring it
And how?
and how.
Yeah.
But I do feel that with some effort, it is measurable.
Yeah.
But I would see that this is more a stage in evolution, and I'm very positive that in future things would be looked upon from the other lens as well.
So here's a question. If I'm an individual and I need to go through this transformation process that's taking place in my organization, what is it that I need to have in me, or what do I need to do to be able to thrive? And there's a reason I'm asking you this, because everything is transforming today. So how do I become a thriver instead of just a survivor?
Right, beautiful question. I might be sounding a little old-fashioned, and I might be putting a cliche forward. But what I personally feel is the differentiating factor is faith.
Wow, okay. Tell me more.
Faith could mean different things to different people. So for somebody, it's a faith coming out of their skills and capabilities. That in this change also I'll be able to survive, I'll be able to thrive. Or faith in a higher power, we call it God or Almighty or universe or whatever. Or faith in the management or the leadership, that I know the management is good, they are well intentioned, they are capable, they will take care of this change and we will succeed in the change. Or faith in future, that this change, what is happening, this transformation is for the better, because maybe the organization is going to have more products and services, is going to get more customers, maybe we are going to get into a new product or services line, or whatever it is, right? So different people will have their different faiths, but I personally feel, I think faith is what the differentiating factor is. And the people I have seen across, and me included, whenever we have had that faith, or those people have had faith, that has made the difference between surviving and thriving. That actually decides how they approach the change. So that's one factor. The second factor is, if I use a metaphor of change, change is like fog. Right? So you're driving through the fog and it's a very dense fog and you're not able to see anything. But what matters at that time is, how are you able to see the next step and positively, consciously, successfully navigate that, right? So the people who are able to focus on what's my next day's job, there might be XYZ changes might be happening. What are my KRAs? What am I supposed to deliver the next day? If they keep the focus over there, that makes a lot of difference. And the third thing is keeping away from grapevine.
Oh, interesting.
A grapevine is generally not positive. So if they keep themselves away from grapevine and not give much of an attention to that, I think it keeps people focused, it keeps them positive, and it keeps them productive. And all of these things actually help navigate positive change.
Interesting. I want to go back to your second point, which is take one day at a time, one step at a time. As an entrepreneur who's run a business, that has really helped me. In times of extreme transformation, and transformation that you can't control beyond a point, this has helped me a lot. But there is one downside to it, and I'd like your opinion on that, that it becomes very transactional. So you're just looking at, what do I need to do today? I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That is a danger. So is there something people can do that while they're taking this one step at a time, they're not losing sight with the larger picture or the larger strategy of their own life, their function, their company, their industry? Is there a way that can work out?
Very pragmatic question. Any individual who is involved in a change, and all employees will be in different ways. And if their role is to think about future at that time, to say, okay, in the new setup, how are things going to be? At that time, of course, the orientation has to be think future and really ideate and be creative and very innovative and put the right things forward. But at the same time, organizations have to run, and they run on a daily basis, a daily transaction, which they have to do. And if people get defocused from that daily transaction, no matter how great they are at ideating for future, the organization is never going to reach that stage. They are going to struggle through the basics in the transformation
Absolutely.
journey.
So it is really like changing the wheels of a running car.
Absolutely.
So well put. Thank you. A lot of organizations are really entering into change fatigue because we are transforming without real clarity and what are we transforming for. Companies that are transforming, that have reached the end of their transformation period almost, and boom, the geopolitics throws a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
And at times like this, I feel people are struggling to make sense of this change, constant change. And my question to you is, as human beings, we are just not wired for this constant instability, this constant perpetual state of everything changing, everything moving. Are we not taking into account the continuous exhaustion that our people are facing in organizations?
I don't think that we are not taking into consideration. What is important is, I think, two things. One is, in what way are these considerations being done? And secondly, how is the acceptance of the fact that this is going to be there in future as well? Let me take the first one. What we are wired for is strive, because during change we have to strive.
And then stability.
And then stability, and along with the stability also comes some period of rest, reflection, and then move to the next wave.
Yes.
We are not wired for a constant current of change which is happening.
Yes.
And I would say that probably now we are running cross-country sprints. Right? So earlier change was a sprint.
Yeah.
That okay, 6 months, 1 year, let's get done with it.
Yes.
Let's run swiftly.
Yes.
100 meters over.
Yes.
And then there was the marathon.
Yes.
So then there was a different set of skills which was required.
That's right.
Right now we seem to be running a
Sprint
marathon,
marathons.
a sprint marathon.
Yeah.
And that is what is creating the challenge.
What a powerful visual picture you painted there. It's incredible. You're right. We are dashing, but it's a marathon.
Right. Now, many organizations are actually thinking, and no fault of theirs, even as people, we think that way as individuals, that this is going to end. But it is not ending. And we come to know of it only when one change after the other has happened. And this actually has been the case primarily in the last 5 to 7 years, according to me.
Yes, you're right.
COVID started it.
Yes, you're right. And every year, the pace of change just seems to be accelerating.
Accelerating, the kind of changes
Is
which are
becoming more
coming
complex.
More complex.
Yes.
And now we are beginning to actually think that this is something which is going to stay, and we need to do something drastically different to be able to face it. So while these changes were happening, organizations, people, all with their right intentions and the skills and capabilities they have been trying to do a fantastic job of it, whether it's COVID, right? There are organizations which perished, but there are a whole lot of organizations that survived. Organizations got into a different mode of working. People came closer to each other as colleagues. They helped each other. These are very positive changes, and these are ways by which they were able to navigate that change. So there is nothing which is coming back to normal. Actually, the new normal is the new normal, and we are perpetually in a newer normal.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's
Right.
exhausting just thinking of it.
And that's why I try to play it.
Yeah. What happens to the culture of an organization when employees feel psychologically unanchored? where they feel that, oh my God, everything is changing. I don't know where I am, what I'm doing. What do you think happens to that culture, and what effort needs to be made to ensure the culture holds people together?
The culture in such organizations in those times starts getting empty. When it starts getting empty, how does it start becoming visible? This is what my view is. The first impact is on discretionary effort. That people start doing only what is bare minimum expected out of them. So that's there. The second impact then is on belongingness. That do I feel I belong to this place? And which is a very critical aspect of culture, right? So discretionary effort followed by belongingness, and then finally something like a give up mode. So there are those trends where they talk of
Quiet quitting and
quiet quitting. So that's the third thing. And they are just going over there to do some chores
and then that's it.
and collect their pay package, and that's about it. And that becomes a very sad state of affairs. There are leaders and there are organizations and management and boards who actually look into it in a very different way. They know that this is going to happen if they don't do anything positively. And I think what they do, and these are some of the best practices, I would say, that I have lived through, or I have seen others live through and fraternity talk about them, or a lot of literature being published. I think within this entire journey, they also create conscious pauses. There could always be those pit stops, despite the fact that you might be running a Formula One race. So they create conscious pauses. They over communicate. Communicate. They over communicate. They remain available for conversations. And I would call these as no purpose conversations, where there is no agenda, where the purpose is just to listen. And the person might be talking anything and the leader is listening. But that makes so much of difference. And somewhere I think what we use in learning methodologies, right, where we say, okay, this course has got these 8 chapters. We start with the first one. So you're done with first one, here comes the second. And the person keeps knowing that, okay, they are progressing. So the leaders also do that very consciously to say, hey, we have accomplished this much. This is what we have achieved. Thank you so much. We are doing great, etc., etc. And then let's move to the next one. Many of these become conscious, psychological, positive strokes is how I would look at it.
Beautiful.
If you allow me, I would like to also add something over here.
Please.
A lot of times, or most of the time, we talk of leaders, right? We hardly talk of followers. We talk of leadership. We don't talk as much about followership. Now today, when the business models are changing, when everything is changing, and to navigate this successfully, I don't think it's only the leader's job. It's also the, under quotes, the follower's job. And see, we talk too much about what is the leader doing, that's fine. But the leaders are also human beings. The leaders are also in midst of the same storm as their teams are, as their people are. They are in the same storms, they are in the same space. And as a result of that, I think it is important that we also talk of, under quotes, followership, good corporate citizenship. How can employees be responsible or act responsibly? How can they act being trustworthy?
Amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
And probably that can be the topic of some other conversation that we
No,
have.
this is actually going to segue into my very next question.
Okay.
And that is about how learning and development needs to reconfigure itself, reimagine itself. So if you take a look at about 10 years ago, skills evolved very slowly. Companies curated content and employees consumed it.
Right.
Cut to today, content has got democratized. Everybody has got access to content. Everybody has got access to learning. But what everybody does not have access to is becoming more capable. So while content has got completely democratized, capability still remains unique to people who are capable. So my question to you is that given the fact that the requirement of skills is morphing so quickly and the demand for new skills is increasing day by day, what should learning and development really do, or what is the role they play in this entire let's make organizations capable game?
I love this question, and this is one of my favorite ones. But let me make it a little poetic over here. Let me build from what you said. You used two C's. You said content and capability.
Yeah.
Let me add something and create an equation. What I feel is content plus context is equal to capability.
Lovely. Okay.
So that's the first point that I wanted to make.
Excellent.
There's no doubt that content is the king. But according to me, context is the mother of the king.
I agree. I completely agree.
Right? So while there is so much of content, in what context are you using it? How are you building the context or the learner's context into it? And that doesn't mean that the context also has to be another content. You can build the context through many different ways. But the content and the context together help build the capability which is required. Because capability is, according to me, is not just about skills. It is about the wisdom to use that skill
in the
right context. Or the environment.
Yeah.
And the context actually helps do that. So that's capability. So as learning and development professionals, this is a very important part. That what are we doing to build context? The second thing also is that, like you said, you asked, what should learning and development professionals do? I think, and I'm going to say something very controversial over here.
I've had my guests coming in and saying all kinds of controversial things, and I love it. So please go on.
Yeah, thank you for making this safe space for us. As learning and development professionals, I think the best thing that we can do is get out of the way of learning. Get out of the way between learning and the learner. I think we over-engineer the process of learning because we think that as L&D professionals, we are required to roll out learning interventions. And a learning intervention
it's not the way to learn. I agree with you.
This is not how learning happens.
And I'm glad you said that because I think very often learning and development, and I'm including myself in that, very often we say, "Acha, learning intervention ho gaya." But that does not mean your people are capable. And actually, Vikrant, that is how Chrysalis got into such bespoke work because, we talk about results-based learning, right? That's something that is trademarked to us.
Right.
And the reason we got into that is because we realized that we were doing bhatere mein, we were doing learning interventions, and it was not doing anything to organizations.
Yeah.
And the idea is that if you're doing a learning intervention, how do you provide ecosystems and environments for learners to become capable? Because finally the journey from being not capable to capability is that journey that the individual has to make.
Right.
And you need to just provide the ecosystems to do that.
Right.
So, while that is true, my question to you also is around what kind of learning models do you think will come into play given the fact now everybody knows everything?
There are 4 or 5 things that come to my mind. I would not say they are models, but certainly they are important aspects for us to consider. The first I feel is, and adding yet another C, is curation. Right? So like you rightly said, there is so much available and the learner has access to all of it. today, it's not just content, but getting access to good quality, free content, freely available is also very easy.
Yes.
It cannot be, one doesn't need to go through L&D for that. It's all accessible to them. They are doing it. But how does one curate in the context of that individual and provide just the right thing that they actually require? Because of the skills also fast getting eroded. We are already talking for almost 3-4 years the concept of half-life of skills.
Yes, absolutely.
So what is important now is just-in-time learning. That I'm trying to do something, I don't know a tool, or I don't know how to use that tool very
and it
well.
tells me on the go.
So if I can get something which I can just quickly learn, apply and move on. So I think that is very important. That's one. The second thing, I think all L&D professionals must ensure that people are skilled on AI. So a lot of these models of learning, etc., I think we are talking about. AI, and I'm very optimistic about it, AI has the capability actually to be able to take care of all of those. It is important that we equip employees to be able to make that use of AI. I'll give you an example. There are so many digital learning platforms, state-of-the-art platforms which are available. And learning doesn't become learning unless the person has really applied it. Now, if you see on the digital learning platforms, many of them also have AI engines with which the employees can practice. Right?
We use that.
Great.
Yeah.
So this is one good example.
Yeah.
That rather than me actually creating something for the employee, I say, okay, here is a digital platform. These are the courses that probably you are looking for. Once you have done this, why don't you go to the AI mentor, coach
and practice?
Or as a L&D professional, why don't I take out content from that and create a role play for the individual based on that learning content on the AI engine for them to be able to use it.
Absolutely.
So that's the second thing. The third model is L&D's agility. You have more than once in this mentioned about how it used to be in the past, that okay, skills are stable, we create an intervention, we train people, all those days are gone. But how agile are we to actually be able to think what our organization would need 6 months down the line, and hence how are we getting those skills for our employees right now? So this is a third pointer. And a fourth pointer actually is, I firmly believe that L&D in organizations for professionals is no longer enterprise grade. It is actually retail grade.
Explain that to me.
So let me put it this way. When employees join organizations, employees themselves would be having a chartered accountant of their own. Right?
Okay.
Despite the fact that the organization would be doing their TDS, etc.,
absolutely.
they would be having a chartered accountant. Or they would be having somebody to help them with their financial management, returns, etc., I think we are arriving that age where this would hold true for learning as well. That people may actually come with their own coach, guide, mentor, and they would say to the learning manager to say, meet him or her, and they know my learning history, they know everything what I need. You talk to them about what skills do I need in the organization and have a conversation. That's one part of it.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Right? And the second part of this retail grade is, which is already happening, that many learners, many employees are investing their own individual time and money to learn, to do courses, to upgrade their skills, without waiting for the organization to create a development plan for themselves.
And that's absolutely spot on.
I think the skill that we all need to develop is the skill of being nimble, being open, and being resourceful. That if we say, okay, this is what the trend is flowing in, how quickly are we able to get our organization ready for it as L&D professionals.
And this is exactly what I was going to talk to you about next.
Okay, please go ahead.
And that is, in one of our earlier conversations, you had used a term which really stayed with me. And that term was change spine. That organizations need to build a change spine. And I'm just telling you what you had mentioned here. You had said that most organizations are still focused on change management, not on change resilience. And this actually builds on what you were saying earlier, that the new normal is the newer normal.
Yeah.
Right? So change is going to be a way of life.
That's right.
And it's going to be more and more accelerated. So tell me a little more about what you think about this change spine, which is really change resilience. So I'd love to know your thoughts about it.
So what does a spinal cord provide us?
Keeps you upright.
It keeps us upright. It absorbs shocks,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it doesn't allow us to collapse, which is obviously to keep it upright, and provides us an equilibrium to be able to move forward,
Yes.
right? Now, all of these three things actually make a good spinal cord resilient. That it's nimble, it's strong, and it's structurally correct to move forward. Any of these three things missing, resilience goes away.
Yes.
And when we talk of change resilience in any organization, now what is an organization? An organization essentially is a combination of people.
Absolutely.
So organizations can't be resilient by themselves. People need to be resilient, or people need to be made resilient, and in turn the organization would become resilient.
But
Now,
is it a very big ask from people to be resilient? Isn't it almost like a toxic resilience? How much do you want me to be resilient? I'm a human being. I can't deal with your constant change.
I'll say one thing again, very controversial. I personally do not consider it toxic, but
Okay.
I do consider it tough.
Okay. Okay.
It's extremely tough. It's very easy to talk about this sitting in these fine surroundings in air conditioner over a cup of coffee and
Yeah.
a good conversation. It's tough. But the fact actually is that where else do you go? And that's where the role of the change success managers, the learning and development people, the leaders, all of that comes in to create the kind of structures and resourcefulness for people to benefit from. But at the end of the day, it is that individual that matters.
So I think what
And that is where I have a slightly different view,
That it's
in the
not-
sense that in L&D, we have so far been focusing hugely on skills and capabilities. But the fact actually is that if the other part, which we call as the emotional part, for example, is not taken care of, then the application of capabilities is also going to be a problem.
And I'm so glad you said that, because what I was going to speak to you about is that transformation and change has always been looked at something where you need skills to manage it. But if you were to move from change management to change anticipation, to change creation, then it's almost like a different mindset you need to have. It's an emotional strength that you kind of bring into the entire equation.
Right.
It's not necessarily frameworks and Excel sheets and project plans, but it's really how you look at opportunity in saying, okay, this could happen, so how do I prepare for it? Which is very different to just a skill of managing it.
And as a result, what I feel is that, while we continue to do courses or continue to do interventions that inspire or fire up the mind or the brain,
We should do it to the
we
heart.
should also create interventions which inspire the heart. Because once that is in place, I think people will be able to figure out
Yeah.
how they will do the rest.
In fact, I foresee that in the next 3 to 5 years, there will be a whole flow back into more humanistic aspects of learning, rather than saying, okay, what are just the capabilities you've learned? But it'll be more grounded in philosophy, in compassion, in reflection, in self-awareness. That is my personal prediction of how I see the world of learning moving.
And I so agree with you. I totally agree. For past few years, I have been reflecting, and I have a different language to look at it. Again, something controversial. Please pardon me. For the years that we have been operational, a lot of this happened because of liberalization. That global organizations came, the economy grew, etc., etc., and we spent our careers in the glorious age of that. Now, a lot of it actually came from the West.
I have a thought around this too. Yeah, please go on.
And a lot of this Western way, and I have nothing against Western,
I know that,
but that's
yeah.
reality, that it focuses on behavior. Right? So we even call our courses as behavioral courses, right? That they focus on change of behavior. So you do XYZ things, you change your behavior, and as a result of that, something else changes in the external world. You continue doing it over and over again. You develop the skill, and your reality changes. Right? Your inside also changes. You look at yourself as a different individual, right? I have no quarrel with that, but I feel it's very limited. And in my personal view, and that's again to me personally, it appears like hacking. That okay, in order for me to appear listening to Sheila, I need to bend a little forward. If I have a phone, I should put it on silent. I should not be crossing my hands, and so on and so forth, right? It appears hacking to me. But then there is another view, which is the Oriental view, which is change from the within, and behavior change would automatically come.
Absolutely.
In fact, it would not be a question at all.
Absolutely.
So the need probably could be that what can we do in order to change people from within, which means the people are, the interventions that they go through, they are able to change their lens. They are able to see the same person differently than what they looked upon at that person before the intervention. How about doing those interventions which create that change? And that is what I call as doing interventions which inspire the heart.
No, it makes complete sense. A couple of episodes ago, we had actually looked at how the Gita is a playbook for leadership dilemma.
Yes, it is.
And the learnings from it can be applied even today after so many thousands of years.
Absolutely.
So I understand. I think a lot of that change does come from within, but it's not a philosophy that Indian corporates have grown with. I remember 30 years ago when liberalization was still not that big, when I started Chrysalis, our interventions were all inward journeys.
Yes.
And then came liberalization. Then it was all about how well do you take calls, how well is your, what are your customer service scores, and how well are you collecting. And it all went into a spate of skills and capabilities. But I do believe it'll come back. So one of the big shifts that we are seeing today is around organizational culture. And this is something that's quite close to my heart, and I ask a lot of my guests about it. Culture was defined by physical proximity, a shared organizational identity, things you did together. But in today's world, you have the concept of hybrid working, gig workers, fractional workers. Physical proximity is no longer there. There's a lot of individualism that is rising. So my question to you is that what is the culture of the future going to look like?
Great question. See, I have always looked at culture from the point of view of culture is all about what people feel, how I belong to that group, how I belong to that institution, to that company, to that country. What's my belonging? And that stays, irrespective of what the organizational working models are or would be. These structural changes have not been able to make an adverse impact. And thanks to technology also. So today also, those strong families may still be coming together. They may not be coming together physically, but maybe virtually. They must still be celebrating the occasions which they used to celebrate earlier. So to me, because of the change in organizations' way of working, the organizational models, etc. And by the way, the employment models are also changing.
That's
we
what
are
I'm-
talking
yeah.
about gig workers
Yeah.
and all. So, in fact, the need for the right culture is more urgent, and not getting impacted by the models, because it's about the way I belong to that organization or that group.
And you're absolutely right, because the need for belonging, especially in the younger generations, is high, while they may say it's not important. And you just mentioned earlier on in this conversation about loneliness and how it's becoming an epidemic. So, what do you think leaders, and specifically learning and development leaders, need to do to build a culture that brings people together, irrespective of what is the working model of employment within an organization?
Right. I think there are 3 or 4 things which probably would help. One is, while continuing to focus upon the individual for capability building, focus also upon capability building of teams. So rather than look at their internal or the end customer or the end user as learner only, but look at the teams also as learners. And this is one area of huge opportunity, because we continue to look at individuals, even though we may do interventions that are more team focused, but it's playing games, etc., etc.
Yeah,
But how do you build capability of the team that can actually deliver something together? Because the way the skills are exploding, not everybody will be able to have all the skills required. And individuals are also different, their dispositions are different, etc. How are you bringing together a set of complementary skill sets and a complementary heart sets, let me use that phrase, together to build a team and make that team capable to be able to deliver an end outcome?
And therefore, in that process of building that team capability, you're also perpetuating the organizational culture.
The organizational culture, and people stop looking at themselves as individuals who are delivering, but also as individuals as a part of the team which is collectively delivering something.
And I think that is so important, because more and more as you look into organizations, you will see that things like hierarchies and levels, they're going to disappear. What will remain is what you bring to the table,
Right.
which is the role that you will play.
Right.
And the role that you will play can change depending on the scenario you're in.
Right.
So you will need complementary skills, you will need supplementary skills
Right.
that'll need to come together.
Yeah.
And I think you have a point in the fact that this can become a very strong way of building a culture where people stop looking at themselves as, I belong to this organization, because the organization can become very far away. It can become a dissipated organization, right? You could be in one part of the country, I could be in another part of the country. You work full days, I work part of the days. But I start saying, do I belong to the team?
Right.
And if you can control the culture, or you can curate the culture within the teams, then it flows into an organizational
Into
culture.
an organization. So rather than only look at individuals as units,
Get it.
start looking at teams also as units. I remember somebody telling me about the army. In the army, the people stand for 2.
Yeah.
One is Sathi, who is the next person, who is my mate. And the second is Meri Tukdi, which is the unit that I belong to. I have to make sure that this person is safe, and if he has a problem, then I am standing by that person and ensuring that he is in safe hands. And the second is the unit, that my unit's thing is the most important. But ultimately, it is the units which make the entire army, which fights for the country.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The second thing also is continuing on the in the team bit. It is also important that the L&D can actually play a critical role in helping employees really understand this shift and embrace this shift.
From self to team.
From self to team, from competition to collaboration. Because it's not just from a human level, it is actually important from an organization level also. Because increasingly the organizations will, like you rightly said, they would not be about the structures, but what is it that they deliver. And it's the teams that are going to deliver. So how do we come together as a team and stand for what we are delivering and take pride in what we are delivering? And that is a change in lens which L&D can contribute a lot towards.
And you're so right. We're doing a lot of work in the area of AI maturity acceleration amongst leaders. And we find that while every leader we've come across is committed to AI and adoption of AI, very often if the leadership team is not aligned, then you find that the AI maturity of the organization is actually quite low.
Quite low, yeah.
So how do you even get them to see themselves as a team? And one would expect that leadership teams are very evolved and they believe in collaboration. But at every level, because they're first human beings before they're leaders, and you rightly said that we can't expect leaders to be above being humans, sometimes they don't see it through the same lens. And there is competition and there is fiefdom, and it leads to a challenge down the line.
Yeah.
The culture of adoption of AI in the organization takes a back seat because they're struggling with aligning themselves.
Right.
So there is a lot of power in the team that you're talking about.
Right.
This brings me to an even larger
I would like
question.
to interrupt over here. You
Yes,
brought
yes.
a very important point, and I am tempted to reflect on this. Conventionally, we believe that the leaders who are the top rung, the CXOs and the CEO, but more than the CEO, the CXOs are expected to actually not look at their own unit, their own unit's interest. They are leaders of the entire organization. All right? So across,
One would expect that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And great leadership teams are able to demonstrate
that, yes.
They have been able to traverse that journey of from me to we and all of that we talk about. Now, the interesting thing is that the behaviors at team levels that we are talking about are precisely the same behaviors. The only difference is that the individual is not looking at, oh, this is my KRA or this is my goal or this is my skill set and hence I will deliver only this much. But rather than that, have a larger perspective that as a collectively, as a team, what are we expected to deliver?
Got it.
And how can I create a great outcome myself, but more importantly, how I work towards a great outcome of the team, how do I collaborate with others? In a way, we are talking about the leadership behavior trickling down from the CXOs
all
to
the way
the
down.
last person on the floor.
Yes. If it's collaborative at the top, it's bound to become collaborative downstream. But you cannot expect to run things which make downstream teams collaborative, where all the way upstream it's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a two-way traffic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I agree. So I want to end this very, very amazing conversation with a very large question.
Oh, okay.
What capabilities do you think human beings need in the future to remain human in a world that's going to be driven by AI?
Oh my God, that's a tough one, but a very interesting one, and I have been thinking about it, but I have not been able to crystal gaze into it. My view entirely, I could be wrong. I feel the way AI is growing and it is taking over almost everything, the skills that would be required in order to survive and thrive in the AI world or the world of tomorrow are actually the most ancient skills. The art of asking questions. Now, if I have to get the best out of AI, it also depends on my ability to be able to ask the right questions. So, asking right questions, pausing and reflecting, right? Seeking help. A lot of growth of human race actually happened because we lived in communities, we sought help from each other, and we could collectively survive.
And I think pause and reflect was a really powerful one. In the last 20 years, I think we've lost the ability to pause and reflect.
Absolutely, absolutely. The reality is that even I feel that change and that impact on myself as well. That the ability to pause and pause for the sake of pause or pause and reflect, I have lost it out.
Yeah.
And I have realized, and I'm trying to make some conscious efforts towards that. And I'm sure many more people are doing that. But those people who are not yet mindful of this, they may need to work upon it. So, and most importantly, the ability to be human. I think a lot of challenges, a lot of concerns, a lot of limitations that individuals have as human beings, I think AI is a great partner to take care of those. And as a result of that, it is good, it is a great opportunity for us to go back to the roots and still not be concerned about the greater questions that the last 2 decades have thrown at us.
Yeah. It should give you more time to pause and reflect.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Even skills like creativity, making connections.
Yes.
Having these no agenda, no purpose meetings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And having conversations like this, perhaps.
Yeah. And for the L&D professional, these are great tools.
If you had to leave one message for L&D professionals of today about what they need to prepare for tomorrow, what would that message be?
I would say pause to go deep,
Okay.
or slow down to go deep. Not
Okay.
pause, but slow down to go deep.
Deep.
And what I mean to say is that in this fast-paced world of everything, including learning and development, we as L&D professionals have perhaps forgotten that learning is a slow process. And we are trying to short circuit that. So we might be achieving great matrices, but we are leaving the learner exhausted,
Absolutely.
not impacted,
Absolutely.
and we are in the subject of change management, but virtually no change happening because we are fiddling around with the process of learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Vikrant, for being on the show. I've enjoyed this conversation, and it's led me to believe that we will continue these conversations at another time and another place.
Certainly, I would look forward to that, and thank you so much for having me over, and thank you for making me feel comfortable. It would have started like a purposeful conversation or a with purpose conversation, but it soon got into a purposeless conversation, and that has really made me enjoy it. Thank you so much, Sheila.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The future of work may not ultimately be decided by technology alone. It may be decided by the human ability to hold complexity without collapsing under it. Because while AI may transform industries, human beings will still need meaning. While systems may move faster, people will still need emotional anchors. And while learning content may become infinite, wisdom, perspective, and inner stability may become even more valuable. Perhaps the real challenge ahead is not simply preparing people for the future of work. Perhaps it is preparing human beings for the future of being human. To our listeners, if this episode made you think, Share it with someone who is shaping people or institutions in their own way. Follow the People Blueprint on LinkedIn, Spotify, and YouTube for more conversations at the intersection of leadership, learning, and the future of work. Until next time, stay curious and get future ready.